All right, sensorimotor stage, this lasts from birth to about 2 years of age. Infants construct an understanding of the world by coordinating their sensory experiences, such as seeing and hearing, we talked about this in the last chapter, with physical motor actions. So basically trying to coordinate your sensations and perceptions with physical movements in the environment. There are 6 substages for these. So we have different reflexes and reactions. There is a figure that goes into this. Figure 2 goes through all 6 stages if you would like to look at that. On the first stage, simple reflexes. Substage corresponds to the first month after birth. Sensation and action are coordinated through reflexive behaviors, such as rooting and sucking. Talked about this last chapter. Infants begin to produce behaviors that resemble reflexes in the absence of the usual stimuli for the reflex. Second stage, these are the first habits and primary circular reactions. It's about 1 month to 4 months of age. You get habits. So it's a scheme that's based on a reflex that has become separated from its eliciting stimulus. A primary circular reaction, it's a scheme based on an attempt to reproduce an event that initially occurred by chance. So sometimes they just kind of flail about and something will happen and they're like, oh, well, that was interesting. I would like to try to do that again. And that's going to be one of these primary circular reactions. As an example, maybe they'll take a fork and accidentally throw it off their tray. That fork hits the ground, like, oh, well, that was an interesting noise. I would like to hear that again. And they just continue to do that. There's other things that come from that too. So like the idea that you go and pick it up, they like the idea that you're going to do something for them. So they might throw the fork off again just so they can get you to come pick the fork up and give it back to them. Habits and circular reactions are stereotyped. So the infant tries to repeat them the same way each time. The third one is secondary circular reactions. I know that's weird. That's the third one, but it's called secondary. It's between 4 and 8 months of age, and the infants become more object-oriented, moving beyond that preoccupation with their self. They're trying to go more out in the environment and see what's going on. And these secondary circular reactions are repeated because, again, they bring interesting or pleasurable results. Again, like the idea that you go and get the fork for them. They like that. The infant also imitates some simple actions and physical gestures. So if you push a car, they'll try to push a car. Fourth stage, coordination of secondary circular reactions. This is about 8 to 12 months of age. They're trying to coordinate their vision and their touch and their hand and their eye, basically hand-eye coordination. Actions become more outwardly directed, and the infant readily combines and recombines previously learned schemes in a coordinated way. Also here, intentionality is present. They know what they're doing and they know what result they're trying to achieve. Example, if they're building some blocks and they knock one over because they want to reach down and put a different one on there. There's an intentionality they know what they're doing. Fifth stage, called tertiary circular reactions, novelty and curiosity, 12 to 18 months of age. The infant is purposely exploring new possibilities with objects, continually to do new things and exploring the results. So basically each one of these stages, they're just going a little bit further and going into the environment. And they just understand a little bit more and there's more intentionality each time. Final one of these is the internalization of schemes, 18 to 24 months of age. They begin to use primitive symbols. So maybe they can draw a little bit. A symbol in Piaget's model is an internalized sensory image or word that represents an event. Car crash. They take cars, put them together, smash them together. Car crash. That's they have a scheme for that idea. And they're able to use language. Not only do they understand what's going on in their physical environment, they're actually able to understand words and use those to represent what they're doing with their physical actions. Related to this stage is object permanence. You've probably heard of this term before. The understanding that objects continue to exist even when they cannot be seen, heard, or touched. It's an important accomplishment typically made during the first year. And to Piaget, children, they're like little scientists. And they examine the world and they're trying to figure out how it works. In Piaget, he argued that object permanence is a landmark of their cognitive accomplishments. So for this year-old boy, what they have in the image here, he's looking at this stuffed animal, and then they put a barrier in between him and the stuffed animal. And for him, out of sight is out of mind. For a 5-month-old, he's like, that thing almost doesn't even exist anymore. This was Piaget's conception of it. So it's out of his view, and he can't see it. It's gone. And then several months later, he will search for that hidden toy. So if you put the barrier, he might try to move the barrier so he can see the monkey. like a scientist. He's searching for the answers. He's like, I think that thing still exists. Where is it at? Maybe it's behind this thing. And another example, peekaboo. Peekaboo. That's one of the reasons why they like that so much, the idea that you're gone, but then you come back. There are some criticisms for Piaget, and so the A, not B error. The data doesn't always support Piaget's claims that certain processes are crucial in transitions from one stage to the next. And so let me show you what this... So in this video, she is going to hide this object, and then the baby is going to continue to look for the object, but then she's going to hide it in a different place, and the baby is going to have some issues with this. So let me show you. Hides the object, puts something on top of it, the baby's able to easily find it again. Now we have 2 sheets. Hides it there. Immediately gets it. Hides it again, pulls it out pretty quick. So now this time, she's going to... Baby's quite happy with that. Hides it in a different place this time. The baby's trying to figure out where it's at.
Where is it?
And in its mind, it's like, I kept finding it here, maybe it's here. And so they call this the A is not B error. And it occurs when infants make the mistake of selecting a familiar hiding place, A, rather than a new hiding place, B. And according to Piaget's earlier stuff, that you had to progress to substage 4 of the sensorimotor stage to be able to pass this test. Older infants are less likely to make this error because of their concept of object permanence is more complete. They understand that when you move things that they still exist better than younger children. But one of the criticisms for this is he thought this was like 8 or 9 months, but it's maybe some more contemporary researchers think it's more like 3 to 4 months. So that is one of the big issues with Piaget, is that people think that contemporary researchers think that the children probably develop quicker and are a little bit brighter than maybe Piaget thought, that their perceptual abilities are more highly developed earlier in life, and that certain cognitive abilities appeared to be present much earlier than Piaget had predicted as well, that they understand a little bit more about the world than Piaget thought. Within the first year, infants have learned how objects behave in relation to other objects and like the laws of the physical world. And they've also learned that people generally behave in goal-directed ways. People are doing something on purpose to get something that they want. All right, that's the sensorimotor stage. Next, we'll get into stage 2, the pre-operational stage.